To the full guide on how to implement Stoicism into your own life. In this video, we'll walk you through the essential principles and practices of Stoic philosophy, helping you cultivate wisdom, resilience, and inner peace. Let's start. Find out how the ancient philosophy of Stoicism can help you control your feelings and live a happier, more fulfilling life. Did you know that Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that was started in Athens around 300 BCE, has grown in favor over the past few years as a way to deal with the problems of modern life? A well-known research institute did a poll and found that more than 70% of people said that bringing Stoic ideas to their daily lives helped them. It gives a unique view on how to live a full and worthwhile life. It focuses on developing character. Mindfulness helps people build up their emotional strength and mental toughness. Self-reflection by knowing what we can change and what we can't. This brief explains how Stoicism helps us find inner peace even when the world around us is a mess. We will look at where Stoicism came from and what its main ideas are. We'll look at how it can be used in different parts of our lives. From making decisions to letting go, we'll talk about how to live a more healthy and happy life. Join us as we start this journey of learning and peace through the ageless wisdom of Stoicism, Part 1, where Stoicism came from. The roots of Stoicism can be found in ancient Greece. Greece, where this deep theory was first developed and won the hearts and minds of many people. Zeno of Citium came up with the idea of Stoicism in the early 3rd century BC. The Stoics thought that the lessons of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, as well as his own, were the best way to live. That the main goal of life is to be happy by living in harmony with nature and reason. Stoicism became popular in the Roman state, especially among these Stoic philosophers, who include Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, put an emphasis on they think that the way to real happiness is through self-discipline, inner peace, and spiritual morality, that things outside of a person shouldn't affect their happiness or peace of mind. Stoics also put a lot of importance on building a good character. They thought that virtue was things like knowledge and courage, moderation and fairness, were important to live a good life according to what they taught. Having a good life meant that your deeds were in line with your beliefs, with general values, instead of being influenced by their own wants or forces from the outside. Self-control and staying uninterested in what's going on around you. Outside of our control, Stoics tried to develop an unshakable sense of calm in the face of life's problems. This philosophy tells us to pay attention to our own ideas and deeds. Stoics don't worry about things they can't change as they move on to the next part. Theory of virtue. It's easy to see how important these qualities are for understanding Stoicism's main ideas. Part 2. The Stoic view of good behavior. Imagine a life in which you don't have to worry about. This is not the case in Stoicism, where you don't have to worry about being good or decent at all. Most important is the idea of character. In Stoicism, honor means moral greatness is made up of things like knowledge, courage, fairness, and self-discipline. The Stoics thought that these traits were necessary for a good life. Stoic thought virtue is seen as the best thing and the reason why people live. The Stoics thought that the only way to be truly happy is to work on developing good traits. The Stoics stressed that virtue is something that should be practiced constantly in every part of one's life. They think that developing character is up to us and can be done through reason and self-discipline. Situations outside of our control shouldn't tell us what to do or affect how happy we are. By following the idea, people can focus on building their character and living in harmony with nature. Even when things are hard, a person with character can find peace and calm. The Stoics think that people can get through life's challenges if they have good traits like knowledge and self-control. In its basic form, the Stoic theory of virtue tells us to face problems with courage and calm. That the only way to be truly happy is to live by moral standards, no matter what the world throws at you. At us if we focus on building good qualities like knowledge, bravery, kindness and discipline of oneself. Now that this is clear, we can find peace within ourselves. How about we talk about the dichotomy of control is a big part of Stoicism. It refers to the question, what can you control and can't be taken care of? Part 3. The two types of control. What can be handled and what can't. Accept the idea of the difference between control and figure out what we can change and what we can't. Stoic theory says that there are things in life that we can control and change, and there are also things that we can't. This difference is important for living a good life in the world of things we can control. Control the way we think, feel, and act. These are the parts of who we are. We can shape and lead ourselves toward good ends by becoming more self-aware and self-discipline lets us choose how to react to outside events and keep our inner peace. On the other hand, there are many things that are out of a person's control, things outside of our power, like the views of other people, nature tragedies, or even accidents. Stoicism tells us not to waste time thinking about things outside of our control, and instead to focus on how we handle them. By accepting what we can't change, we get rid of things we don't need to worry about. Being sad and finding tranquility in the middle of chaos, figuring out this dichotomy, helps us focus on what's most important and acquire traits like wisdom. Be brave, fairness and moderation. We know that real happiness comes from, instead of looking for approval from others or depending on things we can't control, we should work on developing these traits in ourselves. As we move on to the next section about how to use awareness and Stoicism, it's clear that the first part was it's clear that if we accept the idea of the split of power, we set up a strong foundation for getting what we want. Let's look at the ways in which being aware can help us take control of our thoughts. Being fully present in the here and now might help us get past problems. The fourth part, clarity and composure, is about how to practice awareness and Stoicism. Practicing mindfulness in our daily lives gives us a chance to learn more about our thinking, feelings and actions that help us deal with problems with clarity and confidence. Peace of mind. Mindfulness is an important part of Stoicism because it lets us do things like, by bringing conscious awareness to the moment, we can watch our inner experiences without judging them or getting attached to them. Present time, we can stop caring about what's going on around us and focus on what is. When we practice awareness, we learn to watch our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. We don't have to get caught up in them. Instead of acting on impulse or letting bad feelings take over, we can take a step back. Objectively look at the situation at hand. This helps us act wisely instead of acting on impulse. Mindfulness also helps us avoid acts that might make the problem worse. Notice trends in the way we think and feel by keeping an eye on these patterns. We can learn about repeated thought patterns or harmful ideas that might be holding us back from growing. With this knowledge, we have the chance to question and change these thoughts in a more positive way. Mindfulness practice also makes it easier to fully appreciate the present moment. Engage with the present moment by giving each event your full attention. Savor the moment, whether it's a simple daily job or a big event in our lives. Find the beauty in life and be thankful even when things are hard. This will help you build endurance and mental strength. Stability. We'll talk about how Stoicism tells us to see problems as opportunities, chance to grow instead of something to avoid or fight against. Section 5. Building up your strength. Building strength and mental health is like making a shield against the storms of life that gives us the strength and grace to get through them. Stoicism teaches us that we can get better at these things if we work at it. Resilience is a term for how we deal with problems. Resilience is the ability to get back up when things go wrong, and mental stability is the ability to stay calm and balanced. One way to build resilience is to keep an open mind no matter what is going on around you. Accepting the idea of love. Fadi, which means love of fate, means to accept what is. Whatever happens, see it as essential and learn from it instead of trying to stop it or complaining about it. Chances to get better. We can train our minds to do well in the face of trouble. Stoic practices like negative vision also help us get ready for challenges by making us think about what could go wrong, practicing how we would deal with them. By practicing awareness and detachment, you can keep your emotions stable. From outside factors, Stoics tell us to pay attention to what we can control, our thoughts and deeds, instead of focusing too much on things we can't change, by realizing that outside events are neutral and don't define us, happiness or a sense of worth. We can build inner strength that isn't affected by the ups and downs of life. Downs is another important part of being grateful and appreciative. Stoic philosophy says that we can be happy by putting our attention on what we have instead of what we don't. In the present, this sense of thanks helps us keep things in perspective when things are hard. Even though we face problems, we have a lot in our lives. Building grit and emotional security takes work. Effort and practice can be turned into Stoic ideals, like amor fati, being aware with detachment and thanks, can protect ourselves from the storms of life while keeping a steady sense of peace and calm. Before we move on to the next part about developing thanks, let's learn more about this practice. Improves our ability to deal with life's problems. Part 6. Learning to be thankful and appreciation. Gratitude and appreciation help us see the beauty in the world. Even in the smallest moments, make a medley of happiness and joy. When we choose to be grateful, we change our focus from what we don't have to what we do have. Acknowledging and appreciating the good things in our lives every day helps us stay strong. Us create a happy attitude by noticing the good things in our lives. We can deal with problems better. Of optimism and hope. This point of view tells us that even in the worst situations, there are always bright spots. Allows us to get over failures more easily, as long as we are thankful for the lessons we've learned along the way. How praise also makes us feel better emotionally. When we take the time to enjoy the people, places and things that make us happy, we feel fulfilled. We become less depending on things outside of ourselves to make us happy. We are happy because we know that true happiness comes from within. Practicing thanks makes our relationships with others stronger. Saying thank you to loved ones is a great way to do this. It helps people feel closer to each other and gives them a sense of love and bonding. Us to let them know how important they are to us, and it inspires them to do the same by growing. With thanks and respect, we open ourselves up to living life to the fullest. The key is to accept both victories and setbacks with grace as we move from one stage to the next. Let's look at how these methods can be used to bring philosophical ideas to relationships. Strengthen our relationships without giving up our inner peace. Section 7. Using Stoic ideas in relationships. Use conservative ideas to make your relationships stronger. Stoicism can help you make stronger relationships and keep your inner peace. By using Stoic ideas, we can learn how to handle our interactions with knowledge and equality. Ideals like focusing on what we can change and accepting that life will always have ups and downs. One important part of Stoicism is to make your relationships better and more satisfying. In relationships is realizing we can't control what other people do or how they feel. Instead of trying to change or control others, we should pay attention to our. This means taking responsibility for our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. By being aware of our own responses and working on self-awareness, we can avoid. Accepting that relationships are naturally complicated is another important thing to keep in mind. People who come and go in and out of our lives do so for different reasons. Point. Knowing that everything is temporary helps us enjoy the present and treasure the time we have with. It also helps us let go of goals or ties that can hold us back. Lead to failure or pain. Stoicism teaches us to be grateful in our relationships. Admiration. We can show thanks by noticing the good things about our connections and letting the people who make our lives better know how much we appreciate them. This change in attitude creates a stronger sense of connection and putting Stoic ideas into practice in our relationships helps us build stronger ties. Handle these relationships with more knowledge, acceptance, and gratitude. If we show gratitude, we can make stronger relationships and keep our intercom at the same time. If we are ready to accept that everything changes, we can pay more attention to what we can control. Practice self-awareness, and when we learn to be thankful, now let's study how Stoicism relates to the goal of happiness in Section 8. Happiness. In our last conversation, we talked about how Stoic ideas can be used in relationships. Now, let's talk about another part of Stoicism, which is the value of self-control and reason. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness has nothing to do with how hard you try to find it. Lies inside of us and can be reached by living in harmony with nature and developing values like, as long as we have knowledge, courage, temperance and justice, we can live in peace. The Stoics said that outward events don't affect whether or not a person is happy. Our happiness. Instead, our own thoughts and decisions determine our mental well-being. Viewpoint. We stop depending on outside things to make us happy, and instead look for support. We don't focus on getting things from other people or buying things. With patience and strength, we learn to enjoy the simple things in life, the present moment. But it's important to remember that Stoicism doesn't mean you should hide your feelings, or, instead of ignoring that they exist, it pushes us to recognize and understand them. By keeping a clear head and practicing awareness and self-reflection, we can gain a better understanding of ourselves. With this grounding and Stoic mindset, we can learn more about ourselves and handle the ups and downs of life better. Pleasure being something we make for ourselves instead of something we get from other things. Fulfillment. Let's look at how Stoicism helps us deal with hard times without losing sight of what's important to us. Section 9 of Sense of Intercom is about the Stoic way of dealing with problems, meeting life's problems head-on. Stoics tell us that the best way to keep our inner peace is to see problems as opportunities. Instead of seeing hard times as obstacles to be avoided or as something to be got over, denied, the Stoic method tells us to face them with a sense of toughness and acceptance. Philosophy tells us that bad things happen to everyone and that we can deal with them better by accepting them with grace and The Stoic lessons stress how important it is to develop strength and knowledge. By moving our attention to what we can control instead of letting outside circumstances take over, view from what we can't change to what we can. This gives us the power to act and make a difference. Stoicism teaches us to let go of things we can't control when we're going through hard times. Stoics, on the other hand, stress the power of our own ideas and deeds, push us to see losses as chances to grow as people. They believe that meeting challenges, we can become better versions of ourselves if we face problems head-on and learn from them. Problems act as a catalyst for growth because they test our character and help us get ready for what's to come. By taking this calm approach to problems, we can get through them. We can handle the unavoidable ups and downs of life better if we embrace obstacles as chances to learn and grow, not as sources of stress or worry. In the next part, we learn how to look at life more objectively. Using Stoic ideas to deal with stress and worry, we'll look at ways to put these ideas into practice. Philosophy in Everyday Life, Part 10, Dealing with Stress and Worry by Stoic Principles. If we adopt a Stoic way of thinking, we can learn to deal with life's ups and downs. Ups and downs with intercom and resilience are things that Stoicism teaches. Understanding this theory lets us know that worry and stress are caused by how we think about and respond to events. To deal with worry well, the first step is to realize what we can control. Stoics think that the mind is the only thing we can control. We can't change our thoughts or feelings. We can't control what happens, but we can choose how we see and react to it. Mindfulness and self-awareness make it possible to watch our thoughts without judging them. Choose actions that are good for you and accept that things outside of you will change. Stoics taught that everything is temporary, which helps us let go of things. Last but not least, Stoicism urges people to focus on what's important. Personal growth is more important than living in a good way and making good decisions. Even when things are hard, outward approval makes people happy. Stoic ideas and stories can help you deal with stress and anxiety. In a word, this means recognizing that you have control over your life, their thoughts and feelings, accepting that everything is temporary and focusing on. Taking these ideas to heart will help you find peace within yourself. The talk will be about Stoicism and practicing self-discipline as ways to help personal growth. Of what will be talked about in the next few lines. Stoicism and art of self-discipline. When we learn the art of self-discipline, we can develop inner strength. Self-discipline is at the heart of Stoicism. It helps people gain strength and grow as people. By following this attitude, people can face life's problems with courage and fortitude. With self-discipline, we learn how to control our wants and emotions. Stoicism stresses the importance of being able to think things through and make choices that are in line with our morals and long-term goals. Learning to stop caring about what other people do and how it affects you is a key part of self-discipline. We know that there are many things outside of our control, such as what other people do. People or events that we can't control. Stoicism tells us to keep our focus on the things we can change, like our own ideas, attitudes and actions, a need for approval or success from others, usually accompanied by worry and stress. But if we change how we look at things, now that they didn't have to deal with these bad feelings, Stoics stressed how important it was to form good habits. Self-discipline. We can improve our willpower and get past problems by practicing self-discipline over and over again. Set clear goals and make daily routines that support those goals to break bad habits or addictions. Stoics not only teach themselves how to be self-disciplined, but they also teach others how to do so. Advocates for simplicity in material belongings and income. They think that too much connection to things and money is unhealthy. Material things can make people unhappy and cause them to suffer needlessly. Stoics tell us to be happy with what we have, focusing on good things about ourselves, like knowledge, courage, justice. As we move on to the next part, which is called the Stoic view on temperance, we'll talk about. It's important to remember that Stoicism teaches us important lessons about how to deal with money and belongings. Focus on what's inside instead of what's outside. Section 12. The Stoic view on material. The more we learn about Stoicism and the art of self-discipline, the less we care about things and money. Now we'll talk about how the Stoics felt about wealth and material things. Stoics thought that real happiness doesn't come from things outside of yourself. They said that depending on material things for happiness is a sure way to be unhappy. According to the Stoics, things like happiness and sadness are always going to change. Wealth and worldly things have nothing to do with virtue, and they should be viewed as such. It's not wrong to be rich or to have material things, but they shouldn't be the center of our lives. Instead, Stoics stressed how important it was to define our sense of self-worth by developing inner qualities like knowledge, courage, justice, and self-control. Stoic philosophy tells us that putting too much value on things outside of ourselves can cause us to become attached to and dependent on those things. When we depend on these things alone for our happiness, we leave ourselves open to their loss or destruction. By comparison, when we try to be good and focus on what's inside us, when we get things like moral character and personal growth, we find permanent happiness that can't be taken away. By knowing the difference between what we can control and what we can't, our own thoughts and acts versus things that happen to us that we can't change. Stoicism helps us get to a place where we care less about things. This detachment from our things helps us face life's challenges with more equanimity and strength. As we learn more about Stoicism and the lessons it has to teach us about how to deal with change, Part 13, Stoicism and Accepting Things as They Are. Stoics try to be happy even though they know that everything changes. Stoicism teaches us to find comfort in accepting that everything in life is temporary. Everything in this world is temporary, and it can change at any time. We should let go of our ties because nothing lasts forever. Instead, we should let go of our connection to the outside world and work on growing our. By understanding that life is short-lived, we free ourselves from needless stress and worry. We know from our own pain that trying to hold on to things or people will only lead to anger and failure. When things get away from us, as they always do, Stoics argue for taking each moment as it comes, knowing it could be our last. When we understand that everything is temporary, we can enjoy the present moment more deeply. Are temporary, we become more aware of the beauty and wealth of. With each passing second, we learn not to take anything for granted and to find joy in even the easiest pleasures can be made more enjoyable by remembering that life is short. Stoicism teaches us that we're going to die, and it tells us to live with a sense of what's important. Knowing that time is limited and having a sense of urgency and purpose is better than spending time on. Stoics tell us not to worry about small things or chase after shallow wants. Morality and wisdom are what really count. In a word, Stoicism gives us the knowledge too. See how important it is to accept that reality changes. Once we accept this, we can find comfort in it, knowing that nothing lasts forever, and instead choose to live each moment to the fullest. In the next line, we'll talk about how Stoicism can help you live each moment to the best. Help people find meaning and purpose in life, even if they don't rely on anything outside of themselves. Factors that affect whether or not they are satisfied or validated in Section 14, Finding Meaning. Through the lessons of Stoicism, we can learn about the meaning and goal of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches us that the only way to give our lives more real meaning and purpose is to look at the world as it really is. Real happiness doesn't come from other people or their surroundings, but from within ourselves. Focus on the things we can do something about, and accept with serenity the things we can't. By thinking this way, we can build a better world that goes beyond what we can do alone. Sense of purpose and meaning that is not affected by what is happening in the outside world. Stoicism stresses living in harmony with nature and with other people. Stoics believed that the highest good is being a good person in everything you do. Work on improving our moral character to find happiness and satisfaction in life. This means making it a goal. Lead a life that is full of knowledge, courage, kindness, and self-discipline. Encourages us to be good, but it also tells us to be aware and thankful in our daily lives. Even the most boring things in our lives can have value if we look for it. Practice being fully present in every moment and enjoy the simple pleasures that life has to offer. To offer stern ways like negative imagery, which is picturing the worst things that could happen. Losing something or someone close to us can also make us value what we have. Stoicism can help you feel more grateful and grow a stronger sense of gratitude if you do this. Finding meaning and purpose through Stoicism takes a change in perspective. Focus from outside accomplishments or goods to inner qualities like virtue. By focusing on what really means to us and being aware and grateful, can find a deep sense of meaning that isn't based on temporary situations or material wealth, as we do. If you learn more about Stoicism and how it relates to the practice of detachment, Section 15 makes it clear how these lessons can help us find more peace of mind and mental strength. During our study of Stoicism, we talked about Stoicism and the practice of detachment. We have looked at the many ways this old theory can help us live happy, successful lives. We've learned that inner peace and a sense of meaning and purpose go hand in hand. When we accept the things we can't change and focus on the things we can learn to be happy. Stoicism, on the other hand, gives us not only a way to deal with the things we can change, but also a way to live our lives. It gives people not only a way to deal with life's problems, but also a way to distance themselves from those problems. When talking about Stoicism, the idea of detachment does not mean becoming mentally numb, mental distance from other people. Instead, it means letting go of our ties to the Stoics are people who think that happiness can be found no matter what happens in the outside world or what other people do. When happiness comes from within and isn't based on things that come from the outside, learn to take whatever life throws at us with calm and without letting happiness or sadness take over. We should make the practice of detachment a normal part of our lives. The practice of detachment helps us stay calm and in control. Unshaken by life's ups and downs, it teaches us to pay attention to what really matters our own thoughts, deeds and ideals, instead of letting outside. By practicing detachment, we can build strength in the face of things we can't change. This part of Stoicism teaches people how to stay calm in the face of trouble and keep a sense of humor. For one of its most important lessons, the Stoic view on death and mortality, Chapter 16 of the Stoic. Stoic philosophy is a way of thinking about death and dying. Becomes a gentle wave that takes us into the unknown, like a ship floating out into the vast and strange sea. Stoicism gives us a unique way to think about death and our own existence, us to face the fact that we will die and find comfort in the fact that it will happen. From a Stoic point of view, death is not something to be afraid of or try to avoid. Stoics thought that everything in life is temporary and open to change. They saw this as a normal part of the world. They taught us, among other things, that death is just a return to nature. This view of death gives us freedom from the troubles of life and the limits of our mortal bodies. Accept and even enjoy the fact that we only have a short time on earth. It tells us to live every day to the fullest and make the most of every moment. We should enjoy every moment we have instead of worrying about what comes after this life. Stoicism tells us to pay attention to living well in the present by recognizing that we will die and accepting it as an important part of being human. When we have a clearer idea of what we want out of life, we are better able to go after it, more aware of what really counts in our relationships, gifts to society, and, most importantly, to our own growth as people. So Stoicism gives us a new way to look at death, one that doesn't see it as the end of the world, not as something to fear or avoid, but as a chance to grow as a person and think about oneself. There is a place in the world where we can live more worthwhile lives, full of meaning and satisfaction, if we are ready to accept our own death and act in a good way. In the light of this, we can learn more about how it links to Stoicism's focus on good behavior. When we know more about these ideas about death, as seen through the eyes of Stoicism, Section 17. Stoicism and the value of doing good things are the keys to a happy life. Stoicism tells us that the only way to be truly happy is to live by good ideals. Happiness and satisfaction do not come from outside events or things. Morality, according to the Stoics, lies not in what other people do, but in how we treat ourselves. Stoicism says that happiness is the best thing and should be sought above all else, living a socially righteous life in every aspect of our lives. Us to work on things like being wise, brave, and self-disciplined. If we act in a way that is consistent with these, we can live a life of moral character and harmony. Values. Stoicism points out that it's not enough to just be good. We have to turn our thoughts, ideas, or plans into actions. Stoicism tells us that the things we do shape who we are and decide what kind of person we become. Take responsibility for our decisions and try to live according to our morals by acting in ways that are good. Ideals. We can find meaning and purpose even in the worst situations. Stoicism teaches us that we can't change things outside of ourselves, but we can change how we react to them. Is up to us. By doing good things, we can make ourselves stronger. Stoics say that it's our strength of character that lets us handle life's ups and downs with grace and equanimity. Mindset. Doing good things is something you have to work at. To live a life full of value, you need to think about yourself often. We need self-discipline and a strong commitment to our own growth. We can only develop inner serenity and live a worthwhile life based on moral duty if we take steps to do so. Now, let's learn more about Stoic ethics. Stoics tried to live by good ideas and put them into practice. Section 18 of Stoic ethics looks at the idea of moral duty and moral responsibility leading up to the idea of moral responsibility. Stoic ethics show us how we shape our own character and fate. Stoicism says that we are not helpless victims of fate, but rather active partners in making it. In the course of our lives, what we do and choose has effects, and it's up to us to deal with them. Stoic ethics show how important it is for us to be good and take responsibility for our choices. Every part of our lives should be guided by knowledge and virtue, not by passion and feeling. Life, we are told to acquire qualities like knowledge, courage, fairness, and self-control. Traits are like a road plan that show us how to make choices that are in line with morals. We can develop a strong moral character that is in line with the rules of nature if we always do things like. Stoicism emphasizes these traits, but it also admits that humans make mistakes. Humans who make mistakes when we think too quickly or act without thinking. Stoics think that it's important to admit when we're wrong and take responsibility for them. The only way to be truly free is to accept our moral obligations and try to do the right thing. Improving ourselves through self-reflection and self-discipline is part of our moral duty. Stoic ethics teach us that how we treat others is just as important as how we treat ourselves. We have a job to treat others with justice, kindness, and respect. Care about the well-being of those around us and try to get along with them, because Stoic principles were based on kindness and understanding. We can see the importance of moral duty in how it makes us who we are and what our lives will be like. If we understand our natural frailty, we can actively work to make the world a better place for ourselves and others. People, while also accepting the good things about being human, like knowledge and courage. Fairness and self-control are important, but now let's look at how Stoics find inner peace. Tranquility, Chapter 19, Stoic Practices for Inner Peace and Tranquility, Chapter 20. Tranquility. We can find inner peace and calm by using simple Stoic methods that give us the power to take charge of our feelings and find peace despite the chaos around us. Stoicism is a set of routines and ideas that can help us get what we want out of life. Even when things are hard, we can be in a state of peace and calm if we are in charge of our own lives. Stoics said we shouldn't waste our time or energy thinking about our wants. We shouldn't worry about things we can't change. Instead, we should only worry about things we can change. By coming to terms with this idea, we can keep ourselves from having unhealthy thoughts. Instead of focusing on the effects of outside events, we should work on cultivating good traits like knowledge, fairness, courage, and hard work are also very important. This means picturing the worst-case events so we can be ready for them. By thinking about loss or trouble before it happens, we prepare ourselves mentally for what might come. Stoics also stressed how important it was to stay calm and strong in tough situations. Mindfulness and living in the present moment by fully connecting with our current experiences without thinking about. We can grow a sense of inner peace by letting go of regrets from the past or worries about the future. Peace and happiness. Practicing thanks also has a big impact on role in Stoic philosophy. By thinking about the good things in our lives often, we learn to be grateful for things big and small, and this helps us. In a word, Stoic habits can help you keep things in perspective when things are hard. That can be used to try to find inner peace and harmony so we can deal with the problems life throws at us. Throws at us with more peace of mind if we focus on the parts of our lives that we can directly control. If we train ourselves to be aware of the here and now, and if we also learn to appreciate what we have, these activities are the building blocks for growing the traits of courage. And the next part, Section 20, will talk about courage. In our study of Stoicism, we looked at Stoicism and the values of courage and fortitude. Practices for inner peace and calmness we have looked at different. Let's now turn our attention to the traits of confidence and fortitude, which are based on this old idea, lie at the heart of Stoicism. But courage in the framework of Stoicism doesn't just mean. It includes more than just physical bravery in the face of danger. It also includes mental courage, the ability to stick to one's beliefs and act in a good way, even when things don't go as planned. Stoics think that real strength lies in being strong in the face of trouble or temptation. Fortitude is similar to courage in that it helps people stay calm and strong when life gets hard, but focuses on how the Stoics teach us to be patient and strong. By building up our resolve, we can see problems as chances to grow instead of giving up or getting angry, can build the kind of mental strength that lets us deal with life's expected challenges with grace and respect. By practicing these qualities, we can develop a sense of inner power and calm that can't be shaken. External situations, instead of giving in to fear or giving up because of hard times. As we go on, we can face them with calm confidence, knowing that they are part of the natural order of things. On our way through Stoicism, let's look at how it thinks about time. This part will show how Stoics feel about how quickly time passes and what gives them comfort. Embracing the present moment. Stoic views on time and the current moment. Accept that time is fleeting and throw yourself into the beauty of the present moment, because true tranquility can only be found in these brief times. Offers helpful ideas about how we should deal with time, and reminds us to make the most of every second. Stoics thought that thinking about mistakes from the past or worrying about what will happen in the future only takes away from the present. Stoic thought says that we should fully feel and enjoy the moment. Time is a valuable resource that shouldn't be lost. We shouldn't worry about what's coming next or miss what's already gone. Instead, we should focus on living in this now. We can reach a state of inner peace by being aware of our thoughts and behaviors in the present moment. Stoic views on time also stress the value of happiness, and accepting that it will change is the same as accepting that everything, including ourselves, can change. This understanding sets us free because it lets us let go of ties and demands us from needless pain caused by holding to things that are doomed to disappear. Stoic ideals mean to treat every moment as a chance to grow and get better. By being aware and in the moment, we can learn from everything. Experience that life gives us, whether it's happy or hard, every moment can teach us something. In a word, knowing that time passes makes us more likely to look for comfort in things that will last. The here and now instead of getting stuck in regrets about what has happened in the past, or we can give people a sense of peace when they are worried about what the future holds. We can learn more about ourselves and live more worthwhile lives if we pay attention to the present moment. Moving on to our next topic about Stoicism's search for knowledge. This focus on being present gives us a solid foundation for trying to learn more about ourselves and the world around us without losing sight of what really matters. This wonderful adventure we call life. Section 22 of Stoicism and the Search for Wisdom shows how the power of learning as we go on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment to figure out what life is all about. Stoicism shows us how to get deep insights into who we really are. Stoic philosophy says that seeking knowledge is the most important part of living a good and happy life. Not just about gathering information or being smart. It's about knowing who you are and what your job is. Stoicism is a way of thinking about the world and how to live in balance with it. Wisdom is the process of getting a deep understanding of how different parts of our lives really work. It gets us thinking about what we can control and what we can't. Focus on building principles like bravery, justice, balance, and, with the knowledge that comes from having lived, we can deal with the problems that life throws at us. Stoics believe that knowledge will come if we develop these traits through careful thought and hard work. Helps us to see our wants and ties from a different point of view through self-examination and reflection. Can pick out the things that really matter in life: ethics, inner peace. By adopting knowledge as a way of life, we can separate ourselves from temporary outside conditions and shallow pursuits. A single driving idea in our lives, we can develop a strong sense of focus and purpose. We know that real happiness comes from within, not from the outside world. As we learn more about Stoicism and its ideas, we see that happiness comes from within. In the next part, we'll learn about the art of letting go. Before we do, let's think about how wisdom is an anchor in the middle of life's ups and downs. Uncertainty is a light that leads us to peace, even when we're going through hard times. 23. Stoicism and the art of letting go. In our look at Stoicism and the art of letting go, we've looked at how this old theory tells us to pursue knowledge. Seek knowledge and understanding if you want to live a good life. We've learned that wisdom is not just an accumulation of information, educational practice, but rather a way to put what we know to use so we can get around. Let's move forward by facing life's problems with calm and grace. Lessons of Stoicism, and look at how they have affected the art of letting go in a big way. Stoicism says that the way to real happiness is to stop caring about how things turn out in the outside world. It forces us to stop trying to change things and instead accept them for what they are. There are parts of our lives that we have no control over, like the actions of other people or certain settings we might find ourselves in at the moment, urges us to develop inner strength to deal with what we face and to accept it with peace. Facts that free us from unnecessary pain and keep us from having to fight against things we can't change. We can find peace even in the middle of chaos if we learn to be detached and accept that everything changes. Everything. So Stoic thinkers tell us to focus on what is under our control. Control, including our ideas, deeds and emotions, instead of being worried about. This change in viewpoint gives us the power to separate ourselves from things we can't change. Learning to let go can help us feel less stressed about the outside world and more at peace with ourselves. Difficult in a world that is always sending us demands and wants. We can get better at making decisions, though, if we use calm ideas. In the next part, we'll look at how Stoicism can give you a clearer mind and better judgment. Useful advice on how to make good decisions that are in line with our values without being swayed by outside forces. Section 24. Using Stoic ideas in situations with stresses or ties. Mastering the art of letting go and making good decisions can be done by using Stoic philosophy. When it comes to making decisions, Stoicism teaches us to pay attention to what is, when we take care of the things we can and leave the rest to nature. When making a choice, we can use this rule by first figuring out what we can control and what we can't. When we accept that we can't control what happens outside of ourselves, we can change. Stoicism also urges us to make choices based on our own beliefs, virtues, and sense of right and wrong. To think about how our decisions will affect us in the long run, instead of letting short-term wants or feelings guide us, should judge each choice based on how well it fits with our moral sense and our general well-being. Another important Stoic concept for making decisions is that we should not act on impulse or give in to social forces. Practice not caring about what happens outside of ourselves instead of caring too much about one thing. We should accept the idea that honor is more about the way things are done than about the end result. Intended results, we become stronger when bad things happen, and better able to react. Stoic ideas can be applied to a wider range of unexpected situations. The decision-making process helps us let go of things that aren't good for us. When we choose choices that are in line with our core beliefs and values, it frees us from having to. Letting outside things that we can't change control us, instead of letting those things control us. If we turn our attention inward to our own inner traits and personal growth, we can live a life that is rich and full. If we make choices based on knowledge and peace, they will be more fulfilling, with these rules, and use them as a guide. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about some. How to be a good Stoic and live a worthwhile life. Section 25. Stoic ways of living for. Let's look at some useful Stoic techniques that can help you live a full life. One important habit that can help us live a truly happy life is being helpful. By thinking what it would be like to lose something we love, we learn to value it more and not take it for granted. This exercise helps us be more thankful and keeps us from becoming too addicted to things. The practice of desire is another strong way to get what you want, whether it's things or people. Stoics think that our wants and ties can cause us pain, so they say we should look at our wants. By adopting detachment from outcomes and asking how important they are, Stoics also stress how important it is to let go of sadness and find happiness in the present. Writing or meditation can be used for self-reflection and pondering. This technique lets us look at our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without bias. Allows us to see trends of behavior that may be damaging or ineffective so we can change them. Stoicism urges us to make good changes in our lives and to live in harmony with nature. By trying to be moral, we try to make sure that our beliefs and deeds are in line with general concepts like reason, virtue, and justice. If we do our best in all parts of life, we can feel true satisfaction and inner peace. In the end, following quiet habits can help you find peace, improve our ability to live a life full of meaning and purpose, able to grow gratitude, find happiness in the present moment, and try to be a good person by living according to the rules of nature. This will lead to a life with purpose and meaning in the long run. Acceptance, constructive visualization, control, a desire for self-reflection, and a commitment to live by the rules of nature. Here are some important lessons from Stoic beliefs to keep in mind every day. Stoics stress the value of building and living by virtues such as knowledge, courage, fairness, and moderation. Trying to live a good life brings inner peace and makes eudaimonia thrive. Stoicism pushes people to pay attention to things they can control. Things you can control, like your thoughts, attitudes, and deeds, and accept things you can't change, like outside factors or what other people do. 3. Learn to control yourself. Stoics believed in self-discipline and self-control. Can live a life that is more reasonable and logical. 4. Accepting that things change. Stoics knew that life is temporary and taught that by accepting this fact, you can be happy. We can handle change and trouble better. Build up your strength. Stoicism focuses on building up endurance and the ability to keep going. We can handle problems better if we are mentally strong and can handle problems with calm. Live in harmony with nature. Stoics thought that people should live in harmony with the natural order of things. Universe. Life is better when you live in harmony with nature and follow reason. Stoics encouraged people to practice mindfulness or to be more aware of the moment. Being in the present makes it easier to make good decisions and worry less about the past or the future. Stoics respect social ties and being part of a group. stressed how important it is to be kind, fair, and considerate to others. Practice gratitude. Being thankful for what we have can take our minds off of what we want, for material things, and more on enjoying the simple things in life. See problems as chances to grow and learn. Stoics saw problems as chances to grow and learn. Misfortune can be a chance to learn how to be strong and resilient. 11. Stoicism tells us that we have the power to decide what to do. By realizing that we have the power to choose how to handle events, we can avoid being taken over by our feelings. 12. Value mental peace more than money and things. Stoics thought that real happiness and wealth come from inner peace and contentment, not from things you can see. Stoic beliefs support a mindset that is not based on wealth or social standing. Life in balance with yourself and the rest of the world, which encourages personal growth and seeking. Satisfaction through good living and self-awareness. These timeless ideas still speak to many people, looking to improve their lives and find a greater sense of purpose and tranquility. Stoic Principles A. Philosophical school, which began in ancient Greece and grew in Rome, gives useful ideas and useful. In end, Stoicism gives tips on how to live a happy and good life, offers a deep theory that can help us live a happy life by following the ideals of knowledge. With mental toughness and emotional calm, we can deal with the problems of life. With grace and power, we can find inner peace by practicing awareness and letting go. The ideas of Stoicism give us a way to make good choices and be happy no matter what happens. Stoicism gives us the power to deal with life's uncertainties by helping us focus on what we can control. Live lives with meaning and purpose. Go out and make changes for yourself. Thank you for joining us on this comprehensive journey to implement Stoicism into your life. We hope you found this guide insightful and practical in your quest for a more mindful and resilient existence. Don't miss out on future Stoicism videos and valuable insights to further enhance your life. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can stay updated with our latest content. Remember, Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It's a way of life that can bring tranquility and wisdom into your daily experiences. Thank you for being a part of our Stoic community, and we look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Stay stoic, stay resilient, and keep pursuing a life of virtue.